Hello, it's Stephen here, back with another video. It's the day after Manchester City's very tenacious, battling 1-0 victory over Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. And today we're going to take a closer look at 5 things that we learned from that game. And there's absolutely loads of talking points, so I can't wait to dive into it. But I want to say, as ever, before I do that, thank you to OneFootball, a wonderful app with loads of incredible news about the whole world of football, including Manchester City, of course, your home of stats, transfer updates, player info, and absolutely loads more. So if you want to support this channel and do yourself a massive favour, go download a wonderful app for the grand cost of absolutely nothing. It's available for free in the link in the description below, so do myself a big favour and click it right now. But today we're going to talk about Manchester City. Of course, it's the day after, so that means one thing, 5 things that we learned from that game. And it's some very obvious takes and some not so obvious takes, but I'm going to start the place that we've all got to start, really. Aymeric Laporte. Oh, it was absolutely lovely to see him back on the pitch, wasn't it? And more than just him being back on the pitch, it was lovely to see that aura that he transmits, that belief that he transmits through the team. It was there immediately from the off. Now, I think one of the problems we've had so far this season, especially given the fact that Kompany's gone as well, is a lack of physical intensity from our centre-backs. Now, Fernandinho, do not get me wrong, has done a more than capable job standing in there. But I think it's fair to say that he's not really an imposing player by any stretch of the imagination. He's about 5'11". He's quite wiry in frame. And I wouldn't say at any one point he's a bully with a ball. In midfield, in the centre, yes, he can do that. But as a centre-back, well, he's not really a dominating figure. Strong for a midfielder, but not for a centre-back. And maybe we have lost a little bit of that kind of physicality at the back. John Stones has been much criticised for not really being a bullish kind of defender either. I don't think every defender has to be some kind of like beefcake who's going to bully and push people around, but it certainly helps when your backs are against the wall. And what we saw yesterday from Laporte, was a bit of aggression, and sometimes you don't realise how much you're missing it until you see it back in action. I really like the fact that immediately Laporte was pushing defenders around, crunching into tackles, winning tough, strong headers at the back post, and even getting into a bit of needle, a bit of push and shove with their defenders. He really was saying, I'm going to battle you, I'm going to push people around, and no one is going to take a piss out of me. He's quite arrogant, and I think sometimes you need a little bit of arrogance as a defender. I don't think really Stones has that with Fernandinho. I'm not saying every player needs it, of course, but sometimes you need a bit of fight. Otamendi definitely has a bit of a fight, and you could tell that he even transmitted into Otamendi's game alongside him. Otamendi had a good game, probably one of his best games in a while. I still think Otamendi does have that in his locker, of course, but you could just tell the quality of our defence, the resilience, and the physical presence of the team was much better for having this 6'2", 6'3", strong guy who was aggressive. Seeing the sight of Laporte sprinting out to crunch into tackles on the left-hand side, it filled me with joy. And also seeing, away from that aggression and that defending ability, seeing those passes that break the line. He looked knackered around the 75-minute mark when he came off, but before that you couldn't tell that he hadn't played in months. Absolutely wonderful news to have him back on the pitch, and he could be genuinely the difference between a really indifferent season and a few trophies at the end. Great to have him back, and a potential captain at some point. Oh, we really missed him. Secondly, I can't really avoid this massive elephant in the room. Penalty taker. We really need one. Genuinely, we really need some penalty takers. I think we've been spoiled over the years by this this perfect penalty taker record we had. We went from having loads of great penalty takers to just having basically none. We've got Agüero now, obviously he's on the pitch. He's got a slightly above average record, but even he's not ultra reliable. For what it's worth, I don't think what we had previously is the norm. We had like Yaya Toure and Balotelli who just never missed. Even we had James Milner on the pitch who seems to rarely ever miss, if he misses at all. So we had a bunch of players who were very good at penalties, and then even Agüero was slightly above average back then as well. So we're very much blessed with top-class penalty takers. Basically, if we got a penalty, we basically thought it was going to be a goal. And if you compare that to now, what we get instead is actually indecision, and anxiety, and a little bit of fear. We've lost all of that kind of clinicalness in front of goal from 12 yards. Agüero, as I said, is still pretty good at it. I mean, I think his record average is at around 80-something%, which is above the average of about 77%. But we went from that to from 95% plus down to this. And now we've got Gabriel Jesus, who's missed about 6 out of 10 this season across all competitions, including Brazil. We've got Mahrez, who's a bit unreliable as well. He was good at Leicester at one point. For whatever reason, he's got the fear inside him after that Liverpool miss. And now we've got basically no one willing to do it. Everyone always said, what about Kevin De Bruyne? I kind of agree that he should be instinctively good at that. Bear in mind, though, I did a little bit of research, and during his club career professionally, he's taken only 1 penalty in his career. That was for Manchester City against Everton, and he missed it, unfortunately, about 2 or 3 seasons back. He's taken a couple couple in shootouts for Belgium, I think, but, you know, it's a kind of very mixed bag. But by and large, De Bruyne has shied away from taking penalties. And you've got to ask yourself why. Why would a player who's that clean technically, who's got such a credible ability at set pieces, and also got the profile and the seniority of being a key member, so if he wanted to take a penalty, people would let him because he's Kevin De Bruyne. So bearing all that in mind, if he hasn't done it and never does do it, maybe it's just because he doesn't fancy it, which is a shame because you think he would be good at it. Now, of course, we have also got Ilkay Gundogan. Gundogan seems the best bet. I mean, he's German. Like, let a German player take a penalty. It's pretty much a no-brainer, and he does seem to be able to score, but he's not always in the team. And then you look around the team and think, who else is on there? Maybe if Laporte's playing, he's got a rasping left foot. Guardiola did joke that Ederson's the best because he's got no blood in his veins and his eyes cold and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, he's not going to take a penalty because the second he does, he's obviously going to miss and they're going to run up the other end and they're going to score and it's going to be embarrassing. So that's not going to happen. And then you think, definitely not Sterling, definitely not. Fernandinho, maybe. Apparently Rodri did ask for the ball the other day, but all I know is that we've got a problem there and we can't just keep relying on Gabriel Jesus or Mahrez or whatever, or Sterling, because it's costing us potential points. Guardiola, I'm sure this week will be having a plan for this and a real focus on it. He's going to get players taking penalties all week, I reckon, to try and work something out because we have to sort it out. We really, really do. Please, City, it's not good for my blood pressure. Thirdly, we've got to talk about Agüero's aura. I know that's like a little bit vague in that, but it's really notable that Agüero, he just transmits this kind of confidence and this presence that really does scare defenders. Like, I know his goal was simple yesterday, it was just a tap-in, but Agüero, when he's in this kind of form, you just simply can't replace him. Now, I really am a big fan of Gabriel Jesus. I think, even though he's got some rough edges, I think he's a fantastic young player. He's been a great servant for the club, and I think he'll carry on being a great servant for the club. But the one thing that Agüero does bring is genuine fear, and because he is that good at a footballer, we're going to struggle to replace him, because defenders are anxious about Agüero. They do kind of get nervous. They do double up on him because they fear what he can do with the ball, and that does create space. And still, as much as we'll try and replace him, he is still the best that we got through the middle. Sergio Agüero is absolutely world class, and his record at the moment, 8 goals in his last 5 games, he shows absolutely no signs of slowing down, and that is a big worry of mine. Like, how are we going to replace this guy? Can we replace this guy, or do we just hope for something different? Maybe we go for someone like Timo Werner, or you go for Martinez, someone like that. But all I know is that Agüero, he's earned, it's not just his ability basically, it's the respect that he gets from the defenders, and he has earned that respect. That's what marks him out as a little bit different, and replacing that is going to be our biggest problem, because Agüero has this aura, this presence on the pitch that makes him, gives him this kind of special treatment, and that special treatment frees up space. And he also has an understanding that comes with years of experience as a Manchester City player with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne that maybe Gabriel Jesus doesn't. Maybe he doesn't, to be fair, actually, and maybe I'm slightly exaggerating there, but it's notable that 2 world-class players at the best understand each other and will produce wonderful things, because that confidence, that experience, that nous, you can't really replace that. On to the 4th point, and it's a very quick point really, but I wanted to talk about Aymeric Garcia. I was really, really impressed with his 15-minute cameo yesterday. I know it was only a cameo, but what I loved about it is that it worked. It worked. I know that sounds really simple, but to bring on a young lad like that, I think he might only... Is he turned 19 yet? I don't know. He's either 18 or 19 still. I think he turned 19 this month at some point. Don't know if that's happened yet. Someone correct me in the comments below. But either way, he's a baby. He's raw. He's young. But he's so focused. There was a couple of very clever interceptions yesterday when he came on, where he was just in the right place at the right time. He was intelligent. He had a head 20 years older than his shoulders. And he was just so mature and so focused. And really what I would love to see now is him alongside Laporte and maybe maybe Otamendi or maybe Fernandinho, to be honest. I really like the idea of having Fernandinho, Laporte and Garcia get a run of games if we are going to play back 3 at any point, because Garcia, he may not be the biggest, but if you've got the mobility of Fernandinho and then the physical presence of someone like Laporte there as well, maybe you've got a really balanced back 3. And Garcia on the left-hand side, or probably the right-hand side of a back 3, would be more than fine. I think we can counter his lack of physicality with 2 players either side him who are a little bit bigger. All I know, though, is that he's a very good player, and we have to start looking at extending his contract because he's fantastic. And finally, and I really don't mean to pile on him, because I think Sterling's fantastic, but there is a Sterling problem. I mean, it's not a problem in the sense that I don't think it's unsolvable. I think it will naturally solve itself in time. But it really is pretty painful to watch Sterling at the moment. It's got to the point where I'm kind of surprised if he doesn't give the ball away. I know that sounds really harsh, but it does feel that way at the moment. You're thinking, you think he's going to run into someone or slightly scuff his touch. If you cast your mind back to some of his best performances, the one that always stands out to me is away in Napoli in the Champions League, where his touch was great. He was driving past people. He was incisive. He was clever. He was determined. He was a goal threat. And he was just all over the place. At the moment, he seems all over the place in a very different kind of way. He seems to be picking up the ball, not knowing what he's going to do with it, and he looks like he's lacking confidence. He's starting to remind me a little bit of the Raheem Sterling that played under Manuel Pellegrini, and that's not a good look for anyone involved at all. We know he's better than this. One thing I will say, though, is that at some point, after 2.5 years or 2 years or whatever of being incredible, he probably was due a downturn in form. What are the reasons behind this? It could be he's tired. It could be that he's played a lot of football. It could be the Joe Gomez incident catching up with him a little bit. In my humble little opinion, it's because he's kind of exhausted his usefulness out on the left. I think he's a much better player on the right. I do think personally he got away playing on the left for a little bit because defenders didn't know quite what to do with him. But I think he became very predictable very quickly. And I think he needs to be back on the right personally. I'm aware it's a bit of a pickle because then it means currently we've got no one on the left. Though personally, I would play Foden there or Gabriel Jesus. I think they'd be more than good enough. But I'm also aware that Mahrez is doing so fantastically on the right at the moment, and I don't want to ostracise Mahrez either. So maybe it's a case of that he just kind of sits on the bench for a little bit or gets a little bit of a rest. I don't think Sterling is below that. All I know is at the moment, I'm not really happy when he starts, and that's a shame because Sterling is such a fantastic player that we shouldn't be kind of concerned about him playing. Having said that, I do think this was inevitable. Players will go through downturns of form. Quality and his class is obviously, it's not, it's only a temporary kind of downturn in form. Class is permanent, as you say, and especially given the fact that he's only still pretty young as well. It'll come around, but it is something that needs solving. And Guardiola, he might just carry on trying to play him through the form, but we need to be a bit proactive with it, I reckon, because well, to be honest, in the Premier League, we've got nothing to gain from playing it constantly. Maybe give someone like Foden a minute. And that's another thing about Foden. His game time's really low, which isn't good. So I think he probably warrants to start, in my humble opinion. But anyway, that is just the 5 things I took from the game. There's loads more to talk about. Otamendi, I want to give him a shout out. I thought he was excellent. Mahrez, once again, with a very good display. As I said, the Foden thing is a bit of a concern. He's not playing much football. He isn't getting the football that Guardiola said he was going to get at the start of the season. So that's a worry. And there's probably plenty more that I've missed as well. Go and check out the match reaction video from last night if you want to hear more thoughts in the game, a more emotive, raw take, I guess. Subscribe if you're new to this channel, and hello to any Liverpool fans watching. Net spend. I'm joking. You can follow me on Twitter. Be nice, play kind. It's only football after all. Guys, like, comment, subscribe. Down on One Football. I'll see you tomorrow.